on to this next. I think there's going to be it's going to be interesting to see what the Niners offense does this year. And specifically, there's going to be a lot of players coming back from an injury. But what I wanted to ask you was, who do you think, just looking up and down the roster, is going to have the biggest leap in offensive production in 2020 or from 2020?
Ross Dwelley. I'm serious. It's not a joke. I really feel like there's a void in targets right now. Bourne and Jordan Reed. Let me get the numbers real quick.
Well, let me tell you this, Grant, because I was looking at Ross Dwelley as well. I'm glad you brought him up. He's not who I picked. He ended up coming second for me.
Okay.
But these three players finished with more targets than Ross Dwelley last year. Jeff Wilson Jr., Jordan Reed, and Jerick McKinnon.
Yes.
That's a problem.
And those guys are gone. I mean, they're gone.
Yeah. And
Wilson not permanently, but yeah.
But all three of those guys aren't going to be on the team at the week 1 this year. So they're going to have to replace all these targets. And then, like you've mentioned so many times this year, with Kendrick Bourne, that's a big role you're replacing. That's 45 yards per game. That's 5 targets per game. So
hold on, I got some numbers for you. I'm looking them up. So Kendrick Bourne was second on the team in targets last year with 74. Jordan Reed was
46 targets.
Jerick McKinnon, 46 targets. So that's 166 targets that are now unaccounted for. 166. So some of those go to Jawan Jennings, and some of those go to Trey Sermon, and some of those go to Raheem Mostert, and some go to whoever, but Kyle Juszczyk as well. I think Juszczyk should get a little bit. I think he's finally going to get a little bit more involved. But Ross Dwelley, until the Niners trade for Julio Jones, I fully expect Ross Dwelley to go from a guy who's getting 24 targets in a season to 46. Double that. 48.
The thing about looking at that target list is Ross Dwelley is one of the only guys at receiving who even plays 16 games. I mean, all the other guys up and down the roster, there's one game missed here or half the season missed here. He was so consistent for this team, and they didn't reward him. And he
caught 79% of his targets. It seems clear that until Julio is on this team, and he probably won't, that the top 3 guys in terms of targets, and they'll get the bulk of them, will be Kittle, Aiyuk, Debo, obviously. Absolutely. And so after that, it's kind of like, whoever that is that week. But Dwelley, Juszczyk, Mostert, Sermon, those are very good options. You don't necessarily need to have a number 3 receiver on this team because Dwelley's kind of like a slot receiver anyway. He's 6'5". He gets open. I mean, how much more is Jawan Jennings really going to give you than Ross Dwelley? Yeah, look for Dwelley and Juszczyk both to get about 50 targets this year. They should.
Yeah, they absolutely should. I mean,
yeah. And then also Richie James Jr. Richie James Jr. too could as well. He's another guy who deserves about 50 targets. All 3 of them. Yeah.
And I just did want to mention the whole Juszczyk signing that happened, and people were, let's just say, a little confused. They thought it may have been a little too long of a deal, but once the team drafted Trey Lance, to me, I was like, oh, this makes so much sense why they picked up Kyle Juszczyk again, especially for 5 years. You're going to need him there. But I do want to bring up my candidate for this year. It's going to be Brandon Aiyuk. And nice. I'm not just saying that because 49ers fans love Brandon Aiyuk, and this will probably do well on YouTube. But let's be real. Brandon Aiyuk should be getting more targets. He was getting about 5 targets or 5 catches per game last year. And in a 17-game season, that's like 1,000 yards and 11 total touchdowns for his averages. So just on that basis, Aiyuk should be getting more and more. And last year, he was getting 12.5 yards per touch. He was getting 62 yards per game. And he ranks like 3rd in the NFL in yards per touch. So I think they just need to get Aiyuk the ball more. I think
special teams too.
Special
teams too. You can't get him the ball enough. Kick returns, punt returns. Why not? Why not? I still think it's more dangerous to run a slant over the middle than to return a kick. Because when you're running a slant over the middle, you don't know where the hit's coming from. You're looking at the ball. The hit's coming from over here. As a kicker, the whole field's in front of you, man. The whole field is in front of you. A supreme athlete like him can avoid a hit. Come on. Same with punt returns. It's not that dangerous. No. Wide receiver is more dangerous.
And